He accidentally dropped his backpack into the river.
Oh no!
At 60 years old, he was frantic. Without hesitation, he dove into the icy, fast-moving current. The backpack floated downstream, but inside it was something he'd risk his life to save. He swam with all his strength, pulling the bag into his arms. He drifted with the current, clinging to it like it was his last breath. Only when he grabbed a branch along the riverbank was he finally safe, but at his age, this kind of ordeal could be fatal. What drove him to walk 800 kilometers on foot? And what exactly was inside that backpack? To understand that, we need to go back to a phone call from France, over 7,000 kilometers away.
I'm sorry to inform you that your son has been killed, sir.
What?
On the train to France, Tom seemed to see his son again, the bright, adventurous young man who gave up his PhD to travel the world. He wanted his father to join him, but Tom had said, "Not many people can walk away from everything like you. I'd made my choice in life, even if it means nothing to you." His son had replied, "You're not living, you're just existing." Most parents never truly understand their children. Tom was no exception. He didn't understand the meaning behind those words. Once off the train, Tom stood out awkwardly in his formal suit. Everyone else looked like backpacking travelers. The French gendarmerie captain met him at the station. Losing a child is one of life's greatest pains, and entering the morgue required unimaginable courage. Tom's eyes darted. He wasn't ready for this, but the moment he saw his son's lifeless body, his heart collapsed. His helplessness, the sorrow buried deep inside, all burst out. He was now truly alone. The captain explained. This place was the start of the Camino de Santiago, the famous pilgrimage route. Every pilgrim begins with a passport, and as they walk nearly 800 kilometers, they collect stamps at each major stop. He told Tom they could cremate the body, so he could bring his son home more easily. Tom didn't answer. He stepped outside to calm his emotions. A Dutchman sat nearby, chattering on about how he was doing the pilgrimage to lose weight. He also mentioned someone had tragically died just days into the trail, and that someone was Tom's son. That night, Tom sifted through his son's belongings, photos, notes. He couldn't hold back anymore. He wept. He knocked on the captain's door, requesting cremation as soon as possible. And so, Daniel became a small box of ashes. Tom inherited his son's backpack and gear, determined to walk the road his son never finished, to finally understand the boy he never truly knew. Before he left town, the captain gave him a small stone. He, too, had lost a child once. He understood. He wished Tom a safe journey, and they parted ways.
Tom! This is the way.
Following the marker at the starting point, Tom officially began his pilgrimage. The scenery was stunning. At one crossroad, he stopped. A roadside cross marked the spot. He felt Daniel's presence. This was where his journey had ended. Tom opened the urn and scattered some of his son's ashes. A quiet, loving farewell. He gently tapped the stone, as if patting his son's shoulder. Looking over the endless mountains, Tom felt a small sense of peace. He stayed until nightfall, before moving on. That night, he crossed into Spain, and found a hostel in a nearby village. It was a massive shared dorm, nearly 100 beds, €15 a night. Meals were included, but he had arrived too late. Used to a clean, private home, Tom struggled to sleep. But it wasn't the bed that kept him up. It was the coughing, snoring, farting, and worst of all, the sound of crinkling plastic.
Pardon me, sir. Do you have any crêpes poupon?
Fate works in funny ways, because that Dutchman appeared again. He offered Tom some food. Even more unexpectedly, he had sleeping pills and earplugs. Tom finally got a good night's rest. He received his second passport stamp. He asked a woman if she'd walked the Camino before. She said no.
When I was young, I was too busy. And now that I'm older, I'm too tired.
There were still over 700 kilometers to go, and the Dutchman became his teammate. Tom pushed hard to make progress, but the Dutchman kept stopping for local food.
You haven't lived until you had goat cheese from these mountains.
Tom wanted to keep moving. He secretly scattered more of Daniel's ashes at significant markers, but the Dutchman eventually noticed. He gently asked about the ashes, and Tom told him the truth. The Dutchman understood instantly and admired him deeply. At the next town, they planned to rest, but the Dutchman had his sights set on the next stop, where crispy bacon awaited him, and so, they parted ways. In life, some people walk with us for a time, but different destinations mean different paths. That night, Tom sat outside to rest. A woman joined him. Tom greeted her, but she immediately started ranting. She labeled him a boomer, claiming he had all the annoying traits of that generation, except he lacked a ponytail and an iPad full of James Taylor albums. Tom admitted he liked James Taylor, but didn't own an iPad. That only fueled her more. She guessed he had no phone, no computer, and questioned why he was on this pilgrimage. A divorce? A young girlfriend? A guilty conscience? Faced with her arrogance, Tom simply responded,
You sound really angry.
Yeah, sure, I'm angry.
She rambled on, said her goal was to quit smoking, and she'd stop the day she reached Santiago. It had taken her 10 days to walk what Tom did in 2. At this pace, Tom said gently, she might need a full year. She agreed, but before she could keep talking, she realized Tom had already walked away. In truth, Sarah wasn't mocking Tom. She was mocking herself. If you want to know what happens next, follow me.